It seems, folks, that the court has made a ruling. I see here O'Callaghan court asylum ruling is hard to justify, right? A court ruling entitling asylum seekers to compensation if the state fails to accommodate them. A right that does not extend to homeless people is hard to justify, the Justice Minister has said. Well, what did the Justice Minister do to make the law that this couldn't happen? And what's he going to do now? Jim O'Callaghan warned yesterday that there are numerous conflicts of rights in the treatment of international protected applicants versus others in society. Why are you letting them in the first place? Why are you taking the orders from Germany, a rogue state, which doesn't give any protection to against people trafficking in their laws? He was speaking at the Institute of International and European Affairs on balancing human rights in the area of justice and migration. Mr. O'Callaghan said the international protection process was there to protect the persecuted. They're not persecuted. Assie Baby was a Catholic woman who was sentenced to death for 6 years. She was almost being executed. She had 2 children. The judge in Pakistan asked any country that had let her in. Theresa May said, we won't let her in, it might offend migrants. And the Irish government refused. So this is the reality of their hypocrisy and should not be used by those in search of a better life. It's not legitimate to claim that you require international protection when you do not. Or who decides that? Have you any effort made to decide it? It is unfair on the people who do. Go over there with your old baloney. It's unfair. It's unfair. Go to hell with you. Tell the Germans you're not taking any more of them in the dead of night. It is unfair. And horseback the ones that are here. That's what Trump is doing. He's setting the pace. It is unfair on the people who do. The work visa laws are there to enable people to seek an economically better life here. I would have thought the work visa laws were there to allow Ireland to take in whatever people it needs, with the skills it needs. The Minister said his department and other areas of government are developing a strategy which will be published next year to replace the current set of haphazard policies. Why are they haphazard? Fianna Fáil is in government since for as long as anyone remembers, and he has the cheek to come along in 2025 and say the rules are haphazard. Where does Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil to fix these rules? Where does Sinn Féin apply? Where do they? What's their situation? Haphazard policies. This strategy will seek to balance our country's needs for the immigration system that is both fair and firm. No, you won't. You'll coward out. When Ursula von der Leyen gives you the call, you'll dirty your trousers. One that attracts people who with the skills we need. Sure, that's my policy. So I was right all along. As well as protecting those at risk of persecution. No, you won't. You won't let Catholics in. You might let Muslims in. Or Hindus. But you won't let in Christians. You wouldn't do it before, and you got away with it. And I censure Grip Media for not allowing me making that point when I spoke to the reporter in Carrickmacross. They immediately cut. He said he pointed to recent legal advice provided to the European Union Court of Justice as one area which may give way to contentious hierarchy of rights. The advice related to a case brought on behalf of 2 asylum seekers who had been left sleeping rough as the state was unable to provide them with beds. As an EU member, Ireland is obliged to provide shelter to persons seeking international protection. No, it's not. No, it's not. You can say no. Everything the EU does is agreed by the member states. Why did you agree to it? There was a Schengen agreement. The original agreement, they had to go for asylum seeker in the country they landed in. That was the law. That's not the law now. now they can land anywhere and be all bussed into Ireland. Now, this must be a European Court of Justice which ruled that where people arrive here tonight and are sleeping along the canal, they have to be housed, whereas Irish people can go to hell. That appears to be the law of the European Court of Justice. However, about 3,400 males were not offered accommodation last year. So how many billion euros will they get in compensation? Despite this obligation, that number is now reduced to 1,400. The case has now escalated to the EU courts. With the government arguing that the men were not offered accommodation due to exceptional circumstances, namely an influx of asylum seekers. So what's the situation with this? The Advocate General of the European Court of Justice dismissed the state's defence in April and said it could not avoid paying damages to the two men. Now, it seems to me that there's a European Court of Justice system. I'm only after discovering this now, ruling. They wouldn't give a toss on the SEA directive. You see, they're all woke, all those judges. There's a European Court of Justice judgment that if you don't give them houses, the minute they step off the boat or the plane, you have to pay them. More billions they're going to get from this cursed EU. That's what it says here. Folks, if I have the detail of that wrong, please post underneath and say so. We'll see you back soon. Bye-bye.